Tonight, the world is softer than usual. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a small town resting at the edge of a silver lake. The houses are low and warm, their windows glowing like sleepy fireflies. Nothing rushes here. Even time seems to walk slowly, as if it, too, is preparing for sleep. In this town lived a young librarian named Elias. He was not famous, nor particularly adventurous, and that was exactly how he liked it. Every evening, just before closing the library doors, he would open the windows and let the night air wander between the shelves. The scent of pine trees and distant water always followed, gentle and familiar. Elias believed books breathed when no one was watching. He never told anyone this, of course. People in town were kind, but practical. They liked things that could be counted or measured. Breathing books did not fit neatly into either category. One evening, as the sky faded from blue into deep velvet, Elias noticed something unusual. A book lay on the return desk where no one had placed it. Its cover was smooth and pale, almost glowing, with no title written on it. He was certain it had not been there before. The library clock ticked softly behind him. Outside, the lake moved in slow ripples, reflecting the first stars. Elias picked up the book carefully, half expecting it to feel warm or cold, but it felt simply right. As though it had been waiting, when he opened it, he found only a single sentence written on the first page. "Close your eyes, and I'll tell you a story." Elias smiled faintly. It sounded like something meant for children, yet the handwriting carried a calm certainty that made him pause. Without quite knowing why, he sat in his favorite chair near the window. The cushion sighed as he settled in. The library lights dimmed automatically, leaving only the golden glow of a small lamp beside him. Outside, night deepened. Crickets began their steady rhythm, nature's quiet lullaby. Elias read the sentence again, then, almost shyly, he closed his eyes. For a moment, nothing happened, and then he heard it, not with his ears exactly, but somewhere softer, somewhere inward, a voice beginning a story in the gentlest tone imaginable. It spoke slowly, leaving space between words, as if allowing dreams to walk alongside them. Elias felt his shoulders relax. The long day loosened its grip. The library, the town, even his own thoughts seemed to drift farther away, like boats moving across calm water. He did not notice when sleep first touched him, but somewhere, deep within the silent library, the pages of the strange book turned by themselves, one page at a time, preparing the next chapter, and the story continued. The voice did not hurry, it moved slowly, like moonlight sliding across water, steady, calm, and patient. Elias felt as though he were both listening and dreaming at the same time, resting somewhere between wakefulness and sleep. "Every story begins with listening," the voice said gently. In his mind, Elias found himself standing beside the silver lake outside the town. The air was warmer than night should have been, carrying the quiet scent of wildflowers. Above him, the stars shimmered brighter than he had ever seen, each one glowing softly, as if breathing. The lake was perfectly still. When Elias looked closer, he noticed something strange. Reflections moved across the surface even when nothing above them changed. Shapes drifted slowly beneath the water, memories, perhaps, or forgotten moments. The small wooden boat waited at the shore. It rocked slightly, inviting but uninsistent. Elias hesitated only briefly before stepping inside. The boat pushed away from land without effort, guided by no oars, no wind. The lake carried him gently forward. The voice continued. Some stories are not meant to excite you. Some stories are meant to rest you. The water glowed faintly beneath the boat, illuminating soft images, a child laughing, rain tapping against a window, pages turning in quiet rooms, warm light spilling across a table at dusk. Ordinary moments, yet each one felt deeply peaceful. Elias realized he recognized none of them, and yet they felt familiar. Like memories belonging to everyone at once, the boat drifted toward the center of the lake, where a thin mist hovered just above the surface. It shimmered silver, moving slowly like breathing clouds. As he entered the mist, all sounds softened. Even his thoughts grew quieter, as if wrapped in gentle cotton. He noticed something else then: he was no longer tense. The small worries he carried every day had faded, unfinished tasks, unanswered questions, tomorrow's responsibilities. They slipped away one by one, dissolving into the calm water behind him. The voice lowered, almost a whisper. "You do not need to hold everything tonight." The words settled deeply within him. The boat slowed until it barely moved at all. Above, a single shooting star crossed the sky, leaving a long, fading trail of light. Elias lay back against the wooden seat. The boat rocked softly, matching the rhythm of slow breathing. The mist warmed around him, neither cold nor warm, simply comforting. For the first time in a long while, he felt completely safe, doing nothing, no decisions. No effort. No expectations, just floating. The voice paused, allowing silence to become part of the story. In that silence, Elias heard only the gentle lapping of water and the steady rhythm of calm. Far away, or perhaps very close, a page turned. Back in the library, the mysterious book rested open on his lap. The lamp glowed softly, and the night deepened outside the window. A faint breeze slipped through the shelves, rustling paper like quiet breathing. The book turned another page on its own, and the voice began again, guiding the story onward. The journey across the lake was only the beginning. The boat drifted until movement itself became almost impossible to notice. Elias could no longer tell whether he was traveling forward or simply resting in place. The mist around him thinned slowly, parting like curtains drawn open by invisible hands. Ahead, an island appeared. It was small and round, covered in tall grass that moved in slow waves, though no wind touched the lake. A single tree stood at its center, wide branches stretching outward like welcoming arms. Tiny lanterns hung from those branches, glowing with soft golden light. The boat reached the shore without a sound. "This is where time rests," the voice said gently. Elias stepped onto the island. The grass felt warm beneath his feet, and each step seemed lighter than the last. Somewhere nearby, he heard the faint chiming of bells, slow and irregular, like distant memories trying not to wake anyone. The air itself felt different here, not still, but unhurried. He noticed something curious. When he inhaled deeply, the world seemed to pause with him. When he exhaled, everything continued again. The lantern swayed only between breaths, as though the island followed his rhythm instead of its own. Near the tree stood a wooden bench, smooth with age. Elias sat down instinctively. Above him, the lanterns flickered softly. Inside each one glowed a tiny moving scene, moments frozen in gentle motion. A woman reading beside a window during rain. Someone falling asleep on a train. A cat stretching lazily in sunlight. Quiet pieces of life, peaceful and complete. "These are moments people forget to notice," the voice explained. "But they are the moments that teach the world how to rest." Elias watched them carefully. None were dramatic. Nothing extraordinary happened. Yet the longer he looked, the calmer he felt, as if his mind finally understood it did not always need excitement to feel full. The great tree above him rustled softly, a single leaf drifted down, glowing faintly silver. It landed in his hand, warm and weightless. As he held it, he felt something release inside him, a tension he had not realized he carried. Perhaps the need to hurry, perhaps the need to understand everything. The voice spoke again, slower now. You are allowed to arrive without rushing. The words echoed gently through the island. Elias leaned back on the bench. The lantern light shimmered through the branches, creating slow-moving patterns across the grass. His eyelids grew heavy, though he was already dreaming. Somewhere nearby, soft footsteps approached. An old woman appeared beneath the tree, her presence calm and familiar, as if she had always belonged there. She carried no expression of surprise, only kindness. She nodded to Elias but did not speak aloud. Instead, she touched one of the lanterns. And its glow brightened. Inside it, Elias saw himself, sitting in the library chair, asleep with the strange book resting open in his lap. For a moment, he felt both versions of himself at once, the dreamer and the sleeper. The woman smiled gently, as if reassuring him that both were real enough. Then she whispered, and though her lips barely moved, the voice within the story carried her words. Every night, stories help the world slow down. The lantern dimmed again, the old woman faded quietly into the golden light, leaving only the soft rustling of leaves behind. Elias lay down on the grass beneath the tree. Above him, the lantern swayed in a rhythm perfectly matched to calm breathing, slow in, slow out. The island grew quieter, even the voice paused, allowing rest to deepen. Far away, water touched the shore as the waiting boat gently returned, ready for the next part of the journey, and somewhere, unseen, another page turned. For a while, Elias simply rested beneath the great tree. The lanterns above him dimmed one by one, not into darkness, but into a softer glow, the kind of light that belongs to late evening, when the world begins whispering instead of speaking. The grass moved gently around him, warm and steady, like a slow heartbeat. Then the voice returned. Every story has a path, it said softly. But the path appears only when you are ready to walk slowly. Elias opened his eyes. A narrow trail of tiny lights had formed across the island, stretching from the tree toward the opposite shore. Each light floated just above the ground, glowing pale gold, spaced evenly as though inviting careful steps. He stood, feeling rested, lighter than before, as if something heavy had been set down without effort. The moment his foot touched the path, the nearest light brightened slightly. When he took another step, the next light glowed in response. The trail awakened only as he moved, never revealing too much at once. There was no need to hurry. The path existed exactly as far as he needed. Around him, the island grew quieter still. The distant bell sounds slowed until they blended into silence. Even the lake seemed to listen. As Elias walked, he noticed shapes appearing beside the path, faint scenes made of light. A child building something carefully from small stones. Someone closing a notebook after finishing the last page. A window being gently shut at night. Endings, he realized, not sad endings. Peaceful ones, the voice explained. Rest comes when things are allowed to finish. Elias thought about unfinished thoughts, unfinished worries, unfinished days. How often he carried them into tomorrow without noticing. Here, each glowing scene faded naturally after a moment, completing itself before dissolving into soft sparks of light. Nothing lingered longer than it needed to. The path curved slowly downward toward the lake. The waiting boat rested at the shore again, rocking gently as if breathing in sleep, but before reaching it, Elias noticed one final light, brighter than the others, hovering at the end of the trail. He approached carefully. Inside the light, he saw the library again. The quiet shelves. The warm lamp. Himself asleep, peaceful and still. Outside the window, the night sky stretched endlessly calm. For the first time, he understood something simple. The story was not taking him away from the world, it was teaching him how to return to it gently. The light flickered once, warmly, then drifted upward into the sky, becoming a new star among many. The voice softened further, almost blending with the sound of breathing. You do not need to carry the day into the night. Elias stepped into the boat once more. This time he lay down immediately, trusting the slow motion of the water. The island began to drift away behind him, its lanterns glowing faintly like distant memories. The lake carried him forward again, smoother than before. Above, clouds moved slowly across the stars, and the world felt vast but safe, like a quiet room with endless space to rest. His eyes grew heavier. The sound of water against would match the rhythm of calm sleep. In the library, the mysterious book turned another page by itself. The lamp flickered gently, as though listening closely, and the voice, patient as ever, continued the story into deeper dreams. The boat moved more slowly now, as if the lake itself wished to prolong the journey. Elias barely felt the motion. He floated between sleep and awareness, wrapped in quiet warmth. Above him, the stars softened, their light diffusing into a pale silver glow that spread across the water like morning that had forgotten to arrive. Ahead, something appeared along the shoreline, a house. It stood alone at the edge of the lake, small and welcoming, its windows lit with a calm amber light. Smoke rose lazily from a chimney, dissolving into the night sky. The house did not look abandoned, nor newly built. It looked patient. The boat touched the shore with a gentle wooden sigh. Some places exist only when they are needed, the voice whispered. Elias stepped onto the ground. Smooth stones lined a short path leading to the door. Each stone warmed slightly beneath his feet, guiding him forward without urgency. The air smelled of tea and rain. When he reached the door, it opened before he could knock. Inside, the house was quiet and simple. A soft rug covered the floor. Shelves held familiar objects, books, folded blankets, small lamps glowing gently. A kettle rested over a small fire, humming softly like a lullaby. No one appeared to live there, yet everything felt prepared for him. He sat at a wooden table, and a cup of warm tea waited as if it had always belonged in his hands. Steam curled upward slowly, carrying a faint scent of chamomile and something sweeter he could not name. The voice spoke again. Rest is easier when you feel welcomed. Elias drank. Warmth spread through him, loosening the last hidden tension in his chest. The silence inside the house was not empty, it was protective, like a blanket placed carefully around tired thoughts. On one wall hung a clock, but its hands did not move. Instead, they rested gently at a single moment, neither late nor early, just enough. He realized nothing here demanded attention. Nothing required decisions. The world outside could continue without him for a while. A chair near the fireplace invited him closer. He settled into it, and the cushions shaped themselves comfortably around him. The fire crackled softly, its light steady and calm. As he watched the flames, images appeared within them, not clear pictures, only feelings, safe evenings, quiet conversations, peaceful endings to long days. The voice lowered, nearly becoming silence. Everyone needs a place where nothing is expected. Elias felt his breathing slow further. Each inhale gentle, each exhale longer than the last. The warmth of the fire, the soft ticking not ticking clock, and the steady quiet formed a rhythm deeper than thought. His eyelids drifted closed, the house seemed to dim with him, light softening as though respecting sleep. Outside, the lake reflected the glowing windows, holding their light carefully. Back in the library, Elias shifted slightly in his chair, still asleep. The mysterious book rested open, its pages turning with slow certainty. A faint breeze moved through the shelves, carrying the calm of distant water, and somewhere between dream and story, the voice prepared the next place, one even quieter than before. The fire in the quiet house faded gently, not into darkness, but into a warm twilight glow. Elias slept deeply in the chair, and as dreams shifted, as they always do, the world around him changed without waking him. The walls softened into mist, the ceiling dissolved into pale light, and the comforting warmth of the room transformed into cool, fresh air. When he opened his eyes again, he was outside. A garden stretched endlessly in every direction. Soft rain fell from a sky the color of early dawn. The droplets were slow and light, barely touching the ground before disappearing into the earth. Each one made a tiny sound, like distant piano notes played very gently. The voice returned, quieter than ever. Some thoughts are washed away, not solved. Elias walked along a narrow stone path winding through the garden. Tall grasses brushed against his hands, and flowers unfamiliar to him glowed faintly, blues, silvers, and soft violets shining through the rain. He noticed something unusual. The rain did not make him cold. Instead, it felt calming, like cool hands placed gently on a tired forehead. Every drop seemed to carry away a small weight. As he walked, faint shapes rose from the ground beside the path, small clouds made of mist. Inside them flickered tiny worries, unfinished conversations, moments of doubt, questions without answers. The rain touched each cloud, and slowly they dissolved, melting back into the earth. No struggle. No effort. Just release. Elias felt lighter with every step. The garden had no edges. No destination. Only movement and quiet presence. Somewhere nearby, wind chimes rang softly, their tones spaced far apart, leaving wide spaces of silence between each note. He reached a small pond at the center of the garden. Its surface shimmered under the rain, forming endless circles that expanded and disappeared peacefully. He knelt beside it. When he looked into the water, he did not see his reflection clearly. Instead, he saw calm breathing, rising and falling light. Steady and slow, the voice spoke again. You are not only your thoughts. You are also the space between them. Elias watched the ripples spread outward until they vanished completely. Nothing stayed disturbed for long. The water always returned to stillness. A wooden bridge crossed the pond, small and simple. He walked across it slowly, listening to the gentle rhythm of rain against wood. Halfway across, the rain softened further until it became almost invisible, more feeling than sound. The garden brightened slightly, as if morning were approaching somewhere far away. At the end of the bridge stood a tall archway covered in vines. Tiny drops of water clung to the leaves. Glowing like stars caught in green light, beyond the archway lay mist, warm and inviting. Elias paused, feeling a deep calm settle inside him, deeper than before. The worries that once followed him now felt distant, as though belonging to another day entirely. The voice whispered, "Rest is not emptiness. It is renewal." He stepped through the archway. Behind him, the garden continued its gentle rain, washing the world quietly, patiently, endlessly. In the library, the lamp beside Elias flickered once, then steadied again. Outside, the night had grown deeper and more silent. The book turned another page with a soft rustle, and the story moved onward, guiding him closer to the deepest part of sleep. Beyond the garden's archway, the mist glowed softly, surrounding Elias like warm breath on a winter night. For a moment, there was no ground beneath his feet, no sky above, only quiet brightness and gentle stillness. Then the mist slowly cleared. He stood at the edge of a vast shoreline. Before him stretched an endless sea, but it was not made of water. Countless tiny lights moved across its surface, shimmering like living stars. They rose and fell in slow waves, illuminating the darkness with calm silver and pale gold. The air felt wide and peaceful. "This is where dreams rest," the voice said, softer than ever. The shore beneath Elias' feet was smooth and dark, like polished stone warmed by sunlight long ago. Each step made no sound. The silence here was deeper than anywhere he had been, not empty, but full of quiet presence. The sea of stars moved gently, breathing in long, slow rhythms. As Elias watched, one of the lights drifted toward him. It hovered at eye level, glowing warmly. Inside it flickered a dream, someone sleeping peacefully, their breathing slow and steady. Another light followed, then another. Each star held a dream, a child floating through clouds, an old man resting beneath a tree, someone smiling in sleep after a long day. None were loud or dramatic. They were peaceful dreams, the kind that heal without being remembered. Elias realized the sea was endless because every sleeping mind added its light to it. The voice continued, "When people rest, their dreams keep each other company." The thought filled him with quiet comfort. No one truly slept alone. Somewhere, countless others drifted through gentle dreams at the same moment. A narrow path of light formed across the sea, just beneath the surface, inviting him forward. When he stepped onto it, the glowing waves parted slightly, supporting him effortlessly. The stars brightened as he walked. With each step, he felt lighter, as though parts of him were dissolving into calm. Thoughts slowed. Even curiosity softened into simple awareness. Halfway across, he stopped and looked up. The sky mirrored the sea perfectly. Above and below were the same infinite lights, making him feel as if he stood between two peaceful universes. The voice whispered, "You are safe to let go now." A warm stillness spread through him. The need to think, to question, to understand faded gently. There was nothing to solve here. Nothing to hold on to, only rest. At the center of the sea floated a small platform of light, glowing brighter than the rest. Elias stepped onto it and lay down without hesitation. The surface felt soft, almost like breathing itself. Around him, the star waves slowed, matching the rhythm of deep sleep. The lights dimmed slightly, as if lowering their voices out of kindness. His eyes closed. The sea continued to move, carrying dreams quietly through the night. Back in the library, Elias' breathing had become slow and steady. The mysterious book remained open, its pages glowing faintly now, as though reflecting the sea of stars itself. Another page turned. The voice prepared the next chapter, one closer to morning, yet still wrapped in gentle darkness. The sea of stars faded slowly, like a dream remembered only by feeling. Elias did not wake as the light beneath him changed. The glowing platform rose gently, lifting him upward without motion, without wind, only a quiet sense of ascent. The stars drifted farther away until they became a soft shimmer below, like distant reflections on water. When the light settled again, he found himself lying on cool stone. He opened his eyes. A mountain peak stretched around him, wide and peaceful. The sky above was deep blue, holding the first faint promise of morning. Not sunrise yet, only the stillness that comes just before it, when the world pauses and breathes in. The air was clear and calm. "This is the hour of deepest rest," the voice murmured. Snow rested along the edges of the mountain, glowing softly in the dim light. Yet the air was not cold. It felt fresh, awakening without disturbing calm. Elias sat up slowly. Below him, clouds spread endlessly, forming a silent ocean that hid the world beneath. No towns, no roads, no movement, only quiet distance. Here, nothing demanded attention. A narrow stone circle lay at the center of the peak. Smooth and ancient, it seemed shaped by time rather than hands. Elias stepped into it, and as he did, the wind softened completely. Total silence followed. Not even breath seemed loud. For a moment, he felt as though the world itself had fallen asleep. The voice spoke again, barely more than a thought. "Before morning begins, everything rests together." Elias closed his eyes. He noticed something new. There were no remaining worries, no drifting thoughts, no questions waiting in the background. His mind felt wide and open, like the sky before sunrise. He simply existed. Time passed, though it was impossible to measure how long. The horizon slowly brightened, a pale silver line appearing between sky and clouds. The first light of morning approached carefully, as if trying not to wake anyone too quickly. A single bird crossed the sky. Gliding silently, the light touched the mountain peak, spreading warmth across the stone circle. When it reached Elias, he felt a gentle energy, not excitement, but renewal. Like waking after perfect sleep, the voice continued. "Rest prepares you to return." Golden light grew stronger, illuminating the clouds below until they shone like a quiet sea. Shadows softened. Colors returned slowly to the world. Elias understood without being told. The journey was nearing its end, not an ending to the story, only a return from it. He stood at the edge of the mountain and watched the sunrise begin. The light did not rush, it unfolded patiently, filling the sky with calm brightness. Behind him, a path of soft light appeared once more, leading into warm mist. He turned toward it without hesitation. As he stepped forward, the mountain faded gently, dissolving into brightness. In the library, dawn's first faint light touched the window glass. The lamp beside Elias dimmed naturally as morning approached. The mysterious book turned another page, almost the last. The voice, kind and steady, prepared to guide him home. The warm mist welcomed Elias once more, soft and familiar, like stepping into a memory that knew him well. He walked forward without effort. The brightness around him was neither dream nor daylight, something in between, a quiet passage where endings became beginnings. The voice spoke, calm and reassuring. Every journey inward must also lead back. Gradually, shapes formed through the mist. Shelves appeared first, tall and patient. Then the scent of paper and polished wood. A faint golden glow followed, steady and warm. The library. Elias stood near the entrance, watching the room come into focus piece by piece. Morning light filtered through the windows. Pale and gentle. Dust motes floated lazily in the air, turning slowly like tiny planets. Everything looked exactly as he had left it, yet softer somehow. The chair by the window waited quietly. The small lamp rested beside it, now dim in the growing daylight. Outside, the silver lake reflected the early sky, calm and untroubled. He noticed himself sitting in the chair, asleep, the mysterious book open on his lap. For a moment, he existed in both places again, the observer and the dreamer. The voice lowered, almost tender. You were never far away. Elias stepped closer. The sleeping version of himself breathed slowly, peacefully, as though the long night had carried away every trace of heaviness. The book's pages glowed faintly. He looked down and saw words forming on the open page, appearing one line at a time. Rest is not leaving the world, rest is learning how to remain gently within it. As he read, the letters softened and dissolved into light. The voice continued. You will not remember every step of this story. You do not need to. Your body remembers rest even when your mind forgets. The library grew brighter as sunlight slowly filled the room. Outside, a bird sang once, a simple, quiet note that marked the arrival of morning. Elias felt himself becoming lighter, almost transparent. The dream version of him moved closer to the sleeping figure. Drawn gently forward, there was no fear. Only calm understanding. He lay down into himself like settling into a familiar bed, breath aligned with breath, heartbeat with heartbeat. The mist faded completely. Now there was only the library, the chair, and the peaceful rhythm of sleep slowly turning toward waking. The mysterious book rested open for a moment longer. Its final pages shimmered softly, as if waiting for the last words to be spoken. The voice, now barely more than silence, prepared to finish the story. Outside, the sun rose a little higher, and one final page turned. Morning arrived quietly. Sunlight slipped through the library windows, spreading across the wooden floor in long golden lines. Dust motes drifted lazily in the air, moving slowly enough to feel timeless. Outside, the lake shimmered under the early sky, calm and unhurried. Elias stirred in his chair, not suddenly, just a small movement, like a ripple across still water. His breathing deepened, and his eyes opened halfway, adjusting to the gentle brightness of morning. For a moment, he did not move at all. He felt rested, not the ordinary kind of rest that disappears quickly, but something deeper, a calm that seemed to settle inside his chest, steady and quiet. The kind of peace that does not need explanation. He looked down. The strange book still rested on his lap. Its cover was now ordinary, soft gray, with no glow remaining. Curious, Elias opened it again. The pages were blank, every single one. He turned them slowly, expecting words to appear, but nothing changed. Only empty pages, waiting. He smiled faintly. Somehow, this did not feel disappointing. The voice returned one last time, not from the book, not from the room, but from somewhere gentle within him. Stories do not end. They become part of the listener. Elias closed the book carefully and placed it on the desk. The library felt peaceful in a new way. As though it had shared the night's rest with him. Even the shelves seemed quieter, holding their stories patiently. Outside, the town was beginning to wake. A door closed in the distance. Footsteps crossed a street. Somewhere, someone laughed softly. Life continued. He stood and opened the window. Fresh morning air flowed inside, carrying the scent of water and pine trees, the same scent as every morning, yet somehow richer now. For a brief moment, Elias closed his eyes again. He could almost feel the slow rocking of the boat. The warm house. The soft rain. The sea of stars. The silent mountain before sunrise, not memories exactly. More like echoes of calm. He understood then, the story had never been about traveling somewhere magical, it had been about learning how to rest wherever he was. The clock on the wall began ticking again, steady and gentle. Time moved forward, but without pressure. Elias returned to his chair and began preparing the library for the day. Readers would arrive soon. Pages would turn. Quiet conversations would fill the space. Before starting, he looked once more at the blank book. On its first page, faint words appeared, so light they were almost invisible. "Close your eyes, and I'll tell you a story." The letters faded slowly, leaving the page empty again. Elias laughed softly under his breath. Peaceful and awake, outside, sunlight touched the lake completely now, and the world carried on, calmer, slower, kinder, and somewhere, in another quiet room, for another tired listener, the story was beginning again.